how many of you guys would like to have been her standing in front of those 4 sharks pitching their business idea? None of you guys? Too scared? Raise your hand high for me. Are you guys prepared to do that right now? No. And that's okay. I don't know if I'd be prepared to stand in front of them right now. But guys, that is a true example of someone, she knew her business. They asked her, Mark Cuban, a billionaire, how intimidating is that? And he's all over the media, people know him, is asking her questions like, what's her cost of goods? What's her, how does that compare to her competitors fresh? How does that, and she's telling us, well, if I can double my sales and I can cut my cost of goods sold in half, and she countered an offer that Mark Cuban made. Who at 18 has the nerves to do that? How exciting and cool is that? And that's where you guys have to get to in the sense of know your numbers, right? You guys can ask me any number right now about any of my businesses that I've been in, and I'll be able to tell you inside and out, every single number down to every penny. Maybe not every dollar, not every penny, every dollar. And that's what you guys really have to dive into it. I was always the marketing plan guy. I was never the go over my financials guy, but when I got into the real world, I really had to work hard on that. And that's one of the keys, guys, is know your numbers. So sell the economics of your business and then sell yourself. Doesn't matter in which order, but that's how you go out and get funding in the real world. With that in mind, I'm gonna open up for questions. It's my favorite part because really now I'm answering questions that you guys are truly interested in and wanting to know. So fire away. There's no boundaries at all of questions you can't ask.
How did you go about finding investors?
So the question is, how did I go about finding investors? For the first couple businesses, myself or my parents were able to do that, or I found businesses that had low cost of entry where I could fund it myself or required very little cash up front, and I knew I could turn the cash real quickly. For example, in college, I saw a niche, right? I was going to college at Wichita State University, studying for my entrepreneurship degree, and went out with friends, and I saw that certain bars and clubs on off nights weren't very busy. So I went to the managers or the owners of the bars and clubs and said, hey, if I could bring a group of people to your nightclub or to your bar and spend the evening here and spend money at your establishment, would that be okay with you? No cost at all. I'll have people promote it. I'll print my own flyers. All you guys got to do is staff up. But I want to charge a cover at the door, and I'm going to keep the cover. That's how I'm going to make my money. So we talked, and of course, and then we came to agreement that I would guarantee a minimum at the bar for them in their revenue sales so that they didn't have employees there and not make money that night. I guaranteed that. We signed the deal, and that's how I actually paid for half my college that way, that and scholarships. So in that particular deal, I didn't have to go out and get investors. When we actually opened our first T-Mobile store, the 3 partners basically went out and got personal loans, and we just had collateral. So we put all of our cars up for collateral. They were paid off, and that was what the bank used to give us the loans. But we were growing so fast. I gave that example earlier of, we grow so fast, I need to inject more money to continue to support the growth. We went to an investor, and we sat down, and we did literally kind of what that girl did on Shark Tank. We sat down with an investor here in town and said, we need to grow the business. Our business is making X amount of dollars per month, but the way we capitalize on our business is that each T-Mobile store is only making X amount of dollars. We cap out right there. So in order for us to make more money, I got to open more stores. But I can't fund the stores growth right now because it costs a lot of money to open the stores. So we went and showed him the economics of it, and he liked it. He liked the idea and ended up buying into the business, becoming a 33% owner of the business, and the other 3 of us then owned the remaining. So it just really depends on the economics of that. My last business didn't have to get funding for, but it's one of those things, guys, you got to see what your current need is. Sometimes all you need is to get a small loan from your dad, uncle, aunt, or whoever it is, or get friends to put money together. And sometimes you got to go above and beyond that. My recommendation to you guys is at whatever arena you're in, make sure you excel in that arena. So the best way to put it is, if any of you guys play sports, if you're on the C team, kick butt, work hard, and be the best you can be on the C team. And then when you go to the JV team, do the exact same thing. When you go to the varsity team, do the exact same thing. So how you relate that to business, from the mom and pop lawn mowing business, photography business, do the best you can, excel in that area, then you'll get promoted to the JV team. Now your business, instead of doing $15,000 a year. Now you're going to go into a business that may do $50,000, $75,000 a year. And next thing you know, you're running a business that has 6 figures for revenues annually. And who knows, then someday you could be running a business that has $1 million in revenues annually. So just start small, right? There's certain players at every level that you need to tap into, and you'll find out who those players are. So great question. Any other questions?
When presenting yourself to an investor, how do you sell yourself without seeming arrogant?
When presenting yourself to an investor, how do you sell yourself without seeming arrogant? I've always had the saying, competence leads to confidence. I want you to be confident when you sit in front of people to share with them your business plan, right? Arrogant and cocky basically says, oh, I'm all that, but really when it comes down to it, I can't back it up. So it's like the kid on the playground thinking that, oh yeah, if we were playing basketball, I'd kill you one-on-one, etc. And then when it comes time to play, you're just mopping him up and down the floor. He or she is no good. So the same thing when it comes to business, right? Go in there. No one knows your business plan better than you. No one should know your business plan better than you. So have that level of confidence to go in there and say, well, these are my economics. These are the numbers. This is the strategy. And they're going to see that. It's not like you have to sit there and talk about yourself, right? But when you know your product, you know your business, that's you selling yourself. She didn't stand up front of Mark Cuban and all the other judges talking about, well, I went to school for this is my experience, etc. She sold herself by knowing her business. And that's how you sell yourself. Great question. Anything else?
What are specific things in your financials that an investor will look for?
They always want to see cost of goods sold, right? They want to see how much money they can make off per unit. And then after that, they're going to say, okay, so cost of goods sold is X. That leaves me, so let's say you make $1 and cost of goods sold is 33 cents. Now that leaves me 66 cents to pay all the other bills. So they're going to know what then your monthly recurring expenses are, your fixed monthly current expenses. Out of that 66 cents, I got to know 33 cents then that I have bills, payroll, rent, insurance, etc. Now, so that really what they're interested in is the 33 cents because they want to know how much that 33 cents can they take home. For every dollar you make, how much of that 33 cents can they take home? So that's very important to show what your revenue is, your cost of goods, your monthly recurring expenses, and then what the net profit is. There's taxes somewhere in there too, of course, part of your monthly expenses. So those are some numbers, right? As an investor, if you're giving somebody money, what would you want to know? How much do I get back per month or per year, or whatever the case may be, per quarter, however you guys decide to do your payout to your investors. That's what you'd want to know, right? So they want to know the same thing. They're just playing with more zeros. That's all. They're playing with more zeros than we are right now. That's what every investor wants. How quickly can I get my money back? How often do I get it back? You know, it's all driven financially from that end. Do you have a question? Good? What else, guys?
How much attention do you have to pay to your competition's prices? Like, do you set your prices based on theirs or more based on your costs?
So the question is, how much attention do you have to spend on analyzing the pricing that your competitors have? You have to, at the end of the day, you have to be competitive, right? But you also can't, if a gas station next door is selling gas right now for $2.50, but really the cost of it is $3, you can't lower your price there. For some reason, they're selling it for $2.50. Their business plan might not work. So you have to look at your cost of goods sold. You can't sell the product for less than what you bought it for. And you might be for maybe part of your strategy to gain customer clientele to do that, but that's not a long-term strategy that would succeed, right? I mean, so it's a balance of both. What it costs for you to get, what it costs for you to operate your business, because you need the revenue to pay your bills, and then what also your competitors are doing. There's no single factor. You just have to put a fine balance with that on that end. Right now in our nightclub industry, we look, Saturday nights are bread and butter. That's where we make the majority of our money. I have to look to see what my competition, pricing-wise, in the nightclub industry, what they're charging for pricing, what they're charging at the door, et cetera, to be competitive, but I don't completely just give it away or don't let them set the tone necessarily, but I'm very well aware of what their pricing is. So you got to know. Just like that girl knew. What does a bottle of fresh cost? $75. How much does it cost for yours? $15. She knew her numbers.
What is the best way to document your financials throughout the fiscal year?
What was the best way to what?
Document your financials throughout the fiscal year.
What's the best way to document your financials throughout the fiscal year? So if you want to do your own financials, like Quicken or QuickBooks, those financial software programs are good. Like I said, for me personally, I've always built into my business plan what it costs to have an accountant. I let my accountant do everything because there's also value on your time, right? Why spend 6 hours, 4 hours a day trying to figure out books that you can't understand, where you could maybe spend that kind of money to get an accountant, and now 4 hours of the day you're out there hitting the streets, doing sales, bringing in revenue so that you can pay for that accountant. So there's a fine balance you got to have there. You have to understand your numbers. So if you really are interested in numbers, get a financial software program, keep your own books. I recommend to have somebody overwatch them, audit them or whatever, get an accountant to review them every now and then to make sure that you're doing things accurately. But from my end, my advice always has been, that's not my area of expertise, that's not my area of interest, so I'm going to pay somebody to do it because I can take the exact same amount of time that it would take for me to figure out the books, and go out there and get more sales, make more money, and pay off my accountant. So you just got to find that fine balance. Good question, though.
In your business, payroll is a large chunk of your overall fixed cost. How do you figure out if you need to add more employees or scale back?
I kind of talked about earlier, you got to know, guys, each industry has its own average, right? I knew when I did the background research. In retail, I needed to be at 17. In the nightlife industry, I got to be at 12%. You got to look at it that way. Last weekend, my revenues exceeded what my payroll was going to be. I had customer feedback that said it took them long to get their beverages. So then so this week I had a meeting with my bar manager to staff up, and we're getting additional support on that end. Because money walked out the door. People didn't get their product as quickly as they wanted it on that end. So you got to balance that. Once again, my industry, I'm always going to look at a 12%, right? For all the staff that I have, I should be getting, so if I have, once again, $10,000 in revenues for the weekend, I should be spending about $1,200 in payroll for that weekend. It just really depends on your industry, but you got to know your numbers. You got to know what your competitors do, and trade it back on that end. Who's going to go out and do their own businesses now? Guys, it's fun being an entrepreneur. I wish I could have gotten out to you guys earlier in the year, but even outside of this class, I hope you guys still decide to stay involved with YE through their ambassadors program. There's summer partnerships if it's not too late for those deadlines. I'm not sure, Grant, on that end, but it's part of the message that one of my business partners and good friend is sharing with everybody that we can that's going through the class. Because YE is not just English Literature 101 or Algebra 101. Those classes you need, they're important. Math and science are very important, and all that general education is very important. But none of those classes changed my life like YE did. I spent 1 year, I invested my time in it. I did every single partnership I could do. I did every single assignment far and above. I didn't go in with the mentality of, what can I do to get a C in this class? I went in with the mentality of, what can I do to get the most bang for my time invested in this class? I won 2 trips to New York, 2 trips to DC, scholarship money. And that's just the fun material stuff, right? The experience that I've gained to help me with my businesses, my college education, things like that is priceless. And so when you see opportunities like YE class, you guys really have to take advantage of it, because it's not just another class you're sitting through trying to get a passing grade so that you can move on to the next thing. This class literally can change your life if you work hard at it and allow it to. And that's my thoughts to you guys. If there's not any more further questions, I would say thank you guys for letting me come out today and share that with you. I find great pride in coming out and speaking to the classes. My goal every time I speak is to change the light bulb or turn it on one of you guys. And I hope I've been able to do that today, because as entrepreneurs, we have a multiplier effect. If one of you guys go out there and ends up opening a small business, and let's say you employ 20 people full time, think that the risk that you took and the investment that you're giving right now, you're feeding 20 families, their wives, their kids. That's a huge impact, guys. Entrepreneurs are the backbone of this economic and the economy in the United States. So when you guys go out there and you try to start your own businesses, and you're gonna fail, but make sure you get back up. Make sure you get back up. I had a business where I lost $160,000. But I got back up and I'm doing other stuff. You have to get back up. But it's so gratifying to go out there and operate businesses and employ people and know that you're providing a livelihood for people. Be passionate about what you guys do. You have to love your business because you're gonna be living it, you know, but have fun. Have fun along the way and just know that you're gonna make mistakes just like me, losing $160,000 in one of my investments, you know. Being in a private school, I guess I can mention the word God. I've always said, God can't steer a parked car, right? Get in the car and drive. And if you're on the highway of life and something off to the side, you see bright lights and it looks interesting, feel free to take that exit. There's something there that you're supposed to gather, an experience, a companion, somebody along the way. Get off, take that exit, experience it, and when you're done experience it, get back on the highway of life and keep driving. But whatever you do not take your foot off that gas pedal. Keep driving and you'll get there. Cool? Thanks again for your time, guys. Appreciate it.